Speaking of hospitality, I know it's going from 9% up to 13.5% VAT, and I think here in Limerick we encourage people to come to this city because of its hospitality, because of the award-winning restaurants, the pubs, the cafes, and as you mentioned there, it is coming to winter, it is getting colder, the cost of everything is going up. What can we maybe do to try support these places? Because we encourage people to go out and go out for dinner once or twice a week just to give money to them, but now if the cost is going up, it's very hard for them to stay open. I know a lot of people from the industry are saying they might have to just close their doors for the winter months, which would be, I think, detrimental to a lot of cities, including Limerick.
Yeah, so I think the 9% VAT is staying until about February, so at least they might have a bit of time to plan in the meantime. But if you look at people, even the consumer sentiment survey that we carried out in April of this year, we saw that people were kind of pulling back. They weren't making big purchases. They weren't feeling great about the year to come. That was kind of just when Ukraine was kicking off, before we really knew the scale of the energy crisis, the inflationary issues. So people are obviously going to be much more, we'll say, pragmatic in their spending now. So that's going to be an issue from the demand side for these businesses. And then obviously the VAT will go back up, or it's looking like it'll go back up. These things are always under review. That cost will likely be passed on to the consumer. The consumer is already pragmatic about spending. And then businesses will obviously have to put other costs, like energy costs, into their pricing model for their goods. So it's all kind of a recipe for a bit of a disaster in one way or another. But to be fair, when COVID kicked off, we all thought most people thought it was the end of the world. Nothing was going to survive through the end of it. Businesses did go under, but not the scale people thought was going to happen. Everyone thought the housing market was going to crash. I know millennials were probably wishing for it so they could actually buy a house. But businesses are coming off what seems like an endless supply crisis. It was Brexit, it was COVID, it was supply chain issues, Ukraine, then the subsequent energy issues. There's probably a lot of fatigue out there now with businesses. And then the costs are seen as just significant. But on the hospitality side, it's very important to Limerick. The wider Midwest coming into Christmas is a very, good time for people to actually get out there partying, going for dinner, etc. So if it's people that care about their local communities, because at the end of the day, it's those small and medium enterprises, the restaurants, the kind of corner shops that make our communities what they are. Now, the FDI and employment from all that is extremely important as well. But, if we want that to continue on, after this energy issue, then we'll have to support them now. But at the same time, some people can't, and that's okay too. It's just all about managing the finances is all we can do for the next couple of months.